Okay guys, so today I have another gameplay review for you. This is White Forest Pure versus Maliss, but this time I am on Maliss, so I thought it'd be interesting to do some commentary where someone else is playing White Forest instead of me. Okay, so game one was not very interesting, so this is a game two, and they lost game one, so now they're going first. And let's just take stock of the situation right here in draw phase. So I have Droll, Imperm, I have two strong engine cards, and then I have a strong extender. So my hand is pretty good. I can't really complain, especially because I have Droll against White Forest. Although, as you'll see, this is not actually a super straightforward game. So draw phase, he goes Wanted and searches for Witch. You only do this if you are going to start your first action with Witch. Otherwise, you're just giving up too much information that your opponent doesn't need to know, because if you were trying to play around Droll and you're doing something before the Witch, you just do that thing, then on res, see if they Droll you, and then chain the Wanted to the Droll, and you still search for the Witch anyhow, and then the Witch could summon itself and set whatever. So you only do this if you're starting with the Witch. So then he goes main phase one. He does indeed start with the Witch, and he pitches the Droll. Maybe he left this in because he didn't have enough stuff to side out. Or to side in rather, like he didn't have 3 Lancia, 3 Chaos Hunter, for example. Maybe he's leaving it in as a cross-out target, in which case he may only have left in 1, which would be great for me, because then drawing cross-out means there's a brick. But this doesn't really give me a super good read on much, aside from maybe he does not have triple Lancia, triple Chaos Hunter in the side. So anyhow, the Witch is going to set the Deception, and now he's going to go for Philia and search for Vengeance. So this is very weird, and it makes me think that maybe he has hard drawn the White Witch, because normally, if you have drawn the Philia, you will Philia for the White Witch, then the White Witch will send something else and dump the Vengeance itself. But sometimes when you've drawn awkward cards, you have to play in an awkward way, and it means that the person trying to read you, even if they know your deck pretty well, they may not be able to tell exactly how you're going to try to do the play. But anyhow, I'm just saying that I think he probably has White Witch in his hand, and that's the reason that he's searching for the Vengeance off of the Philia. So he has Vengeance, Philia, and an Unknown. And so on res of him adding Vengeance to hand, I'm going to go Droll on res, and he's going to go Chainlink 2 cross out. So not only did he keep the Drolls in, but he actually has multiple Drolls, and so he's still able to successfully cross out the Droll and able to continue playing. So now he's going to activate Deception, and he's going to tribute the Vengeance, which obviously doesn't do anything in his hand, to search for the Hallowed. So at this point, he has 1 unknown card in hand, and I currently believe that this is White Witch, just because he searched this off of the Philia, although maybe I'm not 100% sure. So, because I think it's White Witch, when he goes for the Hallowed here, and he's like almost 100% going to go for Murcielago and not Ilia Sylvia, because he actually needs to continue his engine in some way to be able to continue playing. Like if he has White Witch, he has no spell or trap, so he needs to have something to dump. So I'm thinking he either has White Witch, in which case I'm just going to imperm this to cut him off from spells or traps, or he was going for some weird Chorozo play, and maybe he's hard drawn in Azamina Elzet, and he's gonna add back the Hallowed after he turns these into Chorozo, so he has a spell to pitch for the Arciela that he will make if he does have Azamina Elzet in hand. So either way, I'm thinking if I go Chainlink to Imperm on the Murcielago, then his White Witch will be dead, and he's going to have to add back the Hallowed just to be able to summon the White Witch. Although I guess that still does allow him to White Witch, pitch the Hallowed to summon itself and dump Curse, and then he still can bring out the Vengeance. So I guess I don't actually stop him from getting to Vengeance this way. But I would stop him from doing White Forest stuff if he was trying to go for a weird Chorozo line. So anyhow, he goes for the draw now, banishing Wanted, putting back Deception to draw a card. So now they're both 2 unknowns in his hand. He goes into Little Knight, and he banishes my trap, presumably because most Maliss lists are playing Dominus Impulse, so he doesn't want me to keep a trap in grave in case I draw into the Impulse later, or I still have an Impulse in my hand. So now he's going to shuffle back the Murcielago, adding the Hallowed back to hand. So he has Hallowed and 2 unknowns, and now he activates Witch of the White Forest. So I'm thinking that if my read was right and he has Witch of the White Forest, or Diabel's, what is the card called? I actually don't remember now. White Witch. Diabel's the White Witch. That's what it's called, but it's treated as a White Forest card. So now he goes Witch of the White Forest, which I'm thinking he drew off of this. And so I'm actually raging right now, bro. I'm actually steaming right now because I'm thinking that he drew Witch of the White Forest after he no longer needs to summon from the extra deck. The Dark Log doesn't matter anymore. So now he searches for Elzet. He Elzets, sends the field spell, gives himself Sylvie. He hasn't used his normal summon, so normal Sylvie, search for Tails, go for Arciela. Arciela, pitch the Tails. Tails will reset itself. Now he has Azamina LZ into D-Bell Queen. He searches for the Morion, and he adds back Crossout, which I feel like, what would you actually cross out? Because Crossout is once per turn. It's not like he can cross out a nib now if I was holding a nib. And I don't know what he would cross out on my turn. So I feel like maybe you would add back with the Witch instead, but who knows? Maybe I have like another Imperm in hand, and maybe I might use it on the next turn to start my play or something. I don't know. Anyhow, oh, actually, he searches for the White Witch off of Tales of the White Forest. So maybe he had Witch in his hand the entire time, and nothing I did ever mattered. Maybe that's what's happening. So now he will Witch and pitch the Morion, because of course you can get that back, and Witch will pitch Curse. And it doesn't matter that he's already gone through the Philia, because he wants to reset the Morion and just use this as the trap that he'll banish to bring out the Vengeance. So he resets the Morion here, and he Vengeance and banishes the Philia and the Curse. And now he can trigger the Philia and boost by 500 and set and pass turn. And then he also had Lancia. Bro, are you joking me? This banishes, this does nothing without, it's just an extender. This also banishes if I even had a way to play to begin with. So I'm like, all right, that was very disrespectful, and I'm quite upset. So now we go into game 3. I'm choosing to go first. Let's take stock of the situation. Okay. It's not the perfect hand because we have drawn a one of, although this can be decent to draw sometimes. We have drawn ways to play, and we've also drawn an extender. I would prefer to have drawn some non-engine as well, so that I have some hidden information in my hand that he has to try to play through. And I would have preferred to have drawn an Ignister card, even Wizard, doesn't even have to be backup, so that I can play through more stuff. But normally, when I draw this type of hand, if I have like a cat and a March Hare together, I will start with the cat, even if I have, Dormouse or White Rabbit in hand, because I want to banish the March Hare, because the March Hare will add itself back. So I basically Pot of Greed by drawing 2 for free, and then I add back the March Hare, and then that feels pretty good, right? So the opponent goes Fool Loss, which I think may be a mistake. Normally, he's probably thinking that he's going to Fool Loss because my next play will be to make a Lingaribo to turn on my Wizard or my backup or whatever. But I think he's a little bit greedy because now that I have this information, if I have any way to play around the Fool Loss, I'm just going to play differently now. So maybe he should have waited, if he thought I was going to go into Lingaribo, to go Lingaribo, bring out my backup or my Wizard or whatever, and then he could Fool Loss. And then I'm like, what am I even supposed to do? Just make a Link 3 and pass? Like, I probably will commit a little bit heavier than that. So I don't know. I mean, maybe you could debate this. I'm not sure. But anyhow, I Chessy Cat, I banish March Hare, and I draw into both traps, which is extremely unfortunate. So now I have drawn every single one of that is not engine in my deck. I've drawn the Malice in the Mirror, the MTP, and the GWC, which I side in when I'm going first. And that is extra horrible because I would have access to Rabbit to get a trap anyhow. So this feels really, really bad. But anyhow, I add back the March Hare, and I'm like, whatever. What's the next play here? I'm not going to go for a Lingaribo because I don't want to give him too many draws. So I'm going to try to special as many times as possible without giving him draws. I March Hare, I banish the Dormouse. I set 2 just to dissuade him. Maybe he was like holding an Imperm or a Veiler for the Dormouse specifically, so I set 2. And I banish the White Rabbit, which does not give me a plus because I hard drew into both traps off of the Chessy Cat draw. And now that I have summoned 4 times, I don't want to just play into Nib like a moron. So I'm going to go straight for White Binder because I have the traps. So if he nibs me, I can chain trap or whatever. And he's going to draw 1. I'm going to White Binder, banish the Chessy Cat because I didn't use this one yet. And I'm thinking maybe I just go straight into a Cryptor here. So, but I decided to get a little greedy because I was angry that he had cross-outed my Droll and then Lancia'd me after like hard drawing or drawing into the Witch of the White Forest. So I'm thinking, if I don't have any non-engine in my hand, I need something better. I just need to hope that he doesn't have Nib and try to get the draw off the White Binder and play slightly more greedily. And I draw into a Droll, so I'm finally rewarded after being hard punished by drawing all of my 3 one-ofs. I draw into the Droll. By the way, this is like crazy greedy into Nib. This is just a straight loss into Nibiru. Unless I'd had like a backup or a Wizard in my hand, then I could turn the Nib token into a Link Spider and then continue playing. But, I don't have that, so this is like incredibly greedy into Nibiru. So now the White Binder will reset the GWC, which is another reason why this was greedy into Nib, because not only have I used all this, but I don't even have the GWC on field now. It was in the grave, so he could just nib me on some of the White Binder. So now I go into the Hard Scripter, give him another draw. I leave the March Hare on field because your opponent can't target Malice Link monsters that point to this card, and this one can't be negated while it points to something. So you're probably wondering, let's take stock of the situation again. I have a banished fodder for Cryptor. I have the Binder in Grave. I have other bodies there. I have the March Hare on field. I have MTP07 and GWC. Why do I keep the Malice in the Mirror in hand? So when you're as big-brained as me, okay, you guys might not understand this. I actually completely forgot to set this card. So as far as I'm concerned right now, this is actually set. I believe that I have a Hard Scriptor, MTP, GWC, and Malice in the Mirror set. I have no idea that this is currently in my hand. So anyhow, I pass turn. The opponent will go for Hallowed, Chainlink 1, so main phase 1, Hallowed Chainlink 1, Wanted Chainlink 2. So one thing that you need to know if you're a White Forest player or you're playing against White Forest is for this card to resolve, this has to send a Sinful Spoils card from your hand and or field to the graveyard. So when he goes Chainlink 2 Wanted, if I move this, even if I Mystical Space Typhoon this card, if I am the one that sends it to the graveyard or moves it somewhere else and he is not the one that sends it to the graveyard, then this card is going to fizzle. So there are a couple different ways this could play out right now. He may be wanting to search for a Black Witch. This may be what he wants to do off of Wanted, because that's normally what you do in the basic gameplay loop, and then the Witch gives you your Deception or some type of trap or like a Subversion or something else like that. So if I go Chainlink 3 Cryptor to banish the Wanted, not only will he not be able to banish this for a draw later on, but he's going to be forced to search for the Vengeance right now off the Wanted, because Vengeance will count as a Sinful Spoils name for him to be able to resolve the Hallowed Azumina. So I'm just trying to make him play in an awkward way, because I know that if he plays in an awkward way and he gets drolled on res, then he's probably going to lose. So he indeed does search for the Vengeance to not have the Hallowed fizzle, and he uses that as fodder to bring out the Ilia Sylvia. And now, because I'm thinking that he probably wants to have the Ilia Sylvia on field as soon as possible so that he has an Omni-Negate, we are right now sitting in the Droll window. So I'm not showing this game just to say, oh, haha, I drew Droll, I win. I'm right now in the Droll window, okay? We're currently on res. He has just summoned the Ilia Sylvia, and he's added the Vengeance to his hand. So Droll is currently live. But if I Droll right now, he's just going to chain the Ilia Sylvia, and then he's not going to be under Droll, and then I don't know what else he has in hand. You know, he might have like crazy non-engine and stuff like that. So still in the res window where Droll is live, I'm going to MTP07 first, because I control the Link monster. This represents not just an ad, for example, of another March Hare, so that I have an insurance policy to get my White Binder out if for some reason he like bells my GWC or whatever. But I can get another March Hare, but also banish the Ilia Sylvia. So he's going to have to respond directly as the next link in the chain with the Ilia Sylvia, otherwise he's going to lose this card. So now he goes Chainlink to Ilia Sylvia, and now that the Omni-Negate is off the field, then I can use the Droll. So now I Droll him. He doesn't have Cross out this time, and he's going to go Diabell's the White Witch, pitching the Philia that he hard drew, and presumably dump a trap so that he can bring the Vengeance out. So now he dumps the Curse of Diabell, and I don't want to enter a scenario where, even though he's under Droll, he can bring out the Vengeance, and then if I try to do something, he will chain Vengeance, pop something, and bring something else out from off the Vengeance. So I'm like, okay, on res of him dumping the Curse, so now the Vengeance is live, I'm going to have to GWC here and bring out my White Binder, and then I'm going to target his Vengeance and the Vengeance and the Hallowed, so he's not going to be able to add this back, and that's just like permanently out of the game, and then banish my own Chessy Cat, I think, because it doesn't really benefit me to banish other stuff at this point from his graveyard if the Hallowed is already gone. And also remember that I kept this in my hand, so I'm hoping that this actually is enough to win the entire game. So now I bring back my Chessy Cat, so I have another body that he has to clear, and he goes for Sylvie. He goes for Vengeance Dragon, and he's going to push back my White Binder. So I make a huge mistake. This is another thing that I wanted to show off in this replay. This card says your opponent cannot target Malice Link monsters that point to this card with card effects, and I intentionally left the March Hare on field for it to point to a Cryptor. Then when I GWC'd, I didn't have to bring the White Binder here because I'm not link summoning it, I'm just bringing it back off the GWC. So I should have put the White Binder here so that it was also pointing to the March Hare. And then if he summoned the Vengeance Dragon and tried to push back, because this one targets a face-up monster on field or either graveyard, he would have to target a March Hare or the Chessy Cat that I brought back off the white binder. So that's like a huge mistake on my part, because now my white binder is pushed back, and Maliss does not like to have their cards pushed back in that way. So now he goes battle phase, he attacks over the March Hare, and presumably he's in a bit of a debacle right now, right? Because normally if you push back a Maliss card, you want to leave it there. But he's probably thinking, if he doesn't get rid of the Heart's Cryptor, I'm just going to make access code and, you know, banish whatever and immediately win. So he's thinking, well, I'm just going to pop and set an imperm and hope that I win off of the imperm, because you can't use this the next turn, these effects the next turn. So anyhow, then I also draw into a nib, which is cringe. So I go Chessy Cat, I banish my White Rabbit, he chains imperm, and now my big-brained Maliss in the Mirror that was held, I can go Maliss in the Mirror. So this targets a face-up monster your opponent controls. So I can target the Vengeance Dragon. Banish a Maliss monster from your hand or face-up field, and if you do, negate the targeted monster's effects until the end of the turn. Now, this doesn't matter because he can't use the effects right now, but I'm just trying to dodge the imperm, because I already used my normal summon, and I want to get access to the White Rabbit. And so then he scoops. Although, to be honest, looking at the field right now, what was I even going to do? Bring out a White Rabbit? Maybe he thinks that I have another trap. I actually didn't have another trap. Well, actually, no, he couldn't, unless the last card, do we know the last card in hand? I can't remember if we did. I guess if it's nothing, there's nothing he can do, because my Chessy Cat comes back and I can go Splash Mage and then anything I want. Like I can go Splash Mage into Bring Back a Body into Red Ransom, which can get Field Spell, and then Field Spell can banish White Binder, which can banish Heart's Cryptor. So yeah, there are like a million things to do. So I guess there's no way for him to stop my Splash Mage play. And then I'll just briefly show the list that I was using. So this is my version that I've been testing. It's kind of like a budget version with no Dominus Impulse, where I'm only maining one trap, and I'm also maining D-Shifter, because why not take a free win if you can, and then a bunch of other traps. And I'm siding the Bomber because my Firewall is ulti, so I like playing that. And no one's going to have Chaos Hunter in the main, so I just side out the Firewall for the Bomber. So yeah, that's it for this video. If you have any feedback, suggestions, let me know. If you want to join the Discord, the link will be in the description below. Feel free to @ me in any of the channels there, and thanks for watching.